All right, so there was this poll that was taken, man. I think it was, let's see, I put a link to the article in the description. The poll was taken by The Athletic, and they polled 127 NBA players between March the 16th and April the 1st. And this is the first anonymous player survey that they've done. And they asked the NBA players a number of questions, wide-ranging questions like who they thought was the best player of all time, who they thought was overrated, blah, blah, blah. Those are some of the things that I saw. Um, when it came to who they thought was the greatest basketball player of all time, the overwhelming majority voted for Michael Jordan. I think it was 73% voted for Michael, while 12% voted for LeBron James and 11% voted for Kobe Bryant. And I cannot say that I am surprised by these results. It just goes to show you that the overwhelming majority tend to side with what most people feel. I mean, there are some people who disagree. They have their own reasons for feeling that way. One thing that I don't understand is where is Kareem? Where is Wilt? Where is Magic? Maybe even Larry Bird. I'll even throw in Bill Russell. Where are these guys on this list? They should be getting some votes. You know, I don't understand. I even saw on Undisputed that Kevin Durant got a vote. And I like to wonder who it was that voted for him. I have a funny feeling that the guy that voted for him currently plays for the Warriors. But like I said, man, I don't think that this is very surprising. Skip Bayless made an excellent point on Undisputed that I agree with. Um, Shannon Sharp was trying to say, well, a lot of these guys grew up watching Michael Jordan. Guys are playing the NBA, the young guys. And that's not true. You understand what I'm saying? Like, a lot of the younger players grew up in the 1990s. Well, actually, I should say they were born in the 1990s, but they really grew up in the 2000s, 2000 teens. So Michael Jordan didn't really have a big influence on them as far as watching basketball. Whereas a guy like me, I was born in 1980. So, and I actually started watching the NBA late. I actually was more of a boxing guy growing up. You know, like when I was coming of age, I was watching guys like Sugar Ray Leonard, uh, Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran, uh, Mike McCallum, and of course, Mike Tyson. So those are the guys I came of age with when it came to boxing. I, I started watching the NBA when I was about 9. And of course, Michael Jordan had a tremendous influence over me as far as watching his game. And I was one time, I guess, what you would call a quote unquote Jordan fanboy. But, you know, people still use these terminologies when there's nothing in my videos to me that shows that. Like, I've been very critical of Michael outside of the court. I have nothing but bad things to say about him outside of basketball. But yet people still want to call me a fanboy. A fanboy sees nothing but, uh, positive things about someone who they admire, or really who they're obsessed with, these fanboys. So yeah, these guys who voted, most of them, except for the older players who are closer to my age, they didn't grow up watching Michael. They grew up watching Kobe and LeBron. So if anything, they should be voting for those two guys, not Michael. You know. Um, now, of course, there's going to be some people who want to say, well, they're victims of brainwashing and media manipulation and all this shit, right? Well, you could say that, but I would think that NBA players who actually go through the grind of playing the NBA, practices, the rigors of the NBA lifestyle, as far as like what you got to do on a day-to-day basis to get ready for games, performing on the court, the pressures of success or the pressures of trying to be successful uh, on the court and off the court. I would think that they would have a better appreciation of who they thought the GOAT is rather than just Joe Schmo, me or you. You know what I'm saying? So their opinion should be taken a lot more seriously than some YouTuber like me or you. You know what I'm saying? To me, this just validates what guys like me have been saying for years. If you look at the body of evidence, you look at what uh, all of these players did as far as performing on the court on a consistent basis, uh, especially upping their performance when it mattered the most, whether it be a pivotal game or pivotal moments throughout the game, especially the full quarter. When you look at that, you see these three guys right here. There's one guy that stands out a little bit. Well, there's one guy that stands out a lot more than the guy in the middle, and he even stands out more than Kobe. You know, and that's Michael. You know, now I'm not saying that it's a fact that Jordan is the greatest player of all time, because like I said, there's gonna be people who disagree with that, and that's fine. Um, but you know, this GOAT thing, it's gonna go on and on and on and on. You know, but the funny thing about it, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm pretty sure the existence of social media has created this. But when I was growing up, looking at the sports reporters or up close or interviews, I don't really recall this obsession with who was the GOAT. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really recall that. I don't recall this constant media narrative as far as debating, let's say back then, who was the best player, who was better, Penny or Grant Hill, or who was the best player in the NBA, Shaq or Jordan, or Barkley or Jordan a little bit earlier. You know what I mean? Or who's going to have the greater legacy? Let's say going into the '91 finals. Well, who's going to be the GOAT? Uh, Magic Johnson or Michael? If Magic wins in the 1991 finals, he'll have 6 NBA championships, 3 times as many as Bird, and ties Kareem. Magic, is he now the GOAT? I don't recall all this sensationalist crap. You know what I mean? It wasn't, the NBA had its stars, but it wasn't so individualized like it is now. You had stars, but the team was constantly talked about. But basketball has become, when it comes to the media, an individual sport. And I'll prove it to you. How many times have you heard fanboys say this shit? All right? And I try not to ever say this about any team that a guy that I like plays on. How many times have you heard someone say, man, this proves LeBron's better. LeBron took a bunch of bombs. Or, Kobe playing with a bunch of bombs. A bunch of bumps. But if you're a real, Cavalier fan or whatever, I understand where you're coming from with that. But it's kind of disrespectful to the sport of basketball, you know what I'm saying? And kind of disrespectful to how hard it is to make the NBA, to call LeBron's teammates or Kobe's teammates bums. Yeah, Slava Medvedenko will never make any All-Star team. You know what I mean? Anderson Varejao was no, you know what I'm saying? He was no, Mark Eaton, to say the least. But to be able to make the NBA, it says something. So to call those guys bums, it really kind of shows that you're not really a fan of that team per se, but you're really just a fanboy. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Tell me what you guys think, though.